Next, we move to the minority, Representative Arlene Brosas.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, yung first question ko po medyo simple lang, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, ano yung naging pagtingin ng DSWD sa hindi na food poor kung gumagastos ka ng 64 pesos kada araw? Nag-agree ba ang DSWD dito?
Madam Chair, as stated a while ago, we agreed that it is not enough. For the record, we stated that, and we stated that yesterday in the Senate also in a hearing. We agree na kulang ho at dapat revisitahin na yung food basket para makita natin kung angkop at tama pa rin ho siya sa pangangailangan ng ating mga mamamayan.
Thank you. Maraming salamat, Secretary. Maraming salamat, Madam Chair. Kasi importante po yun yung pagtingin ng DSWD. Kailangan natin ng higit pa doon sa 64 pesos. Napakaliit nun. 70 pesos nga yung sa mga persons deprived of liberty. Tapos biglang sasabihin sa atin 64 yung kailangan para sa mamamayan natin. So we are really thankful sa sinabi ng ng secretary na yon. Anyway, Mr. Chair, I will go to my next question kasi may pa. Ito po yung tungkol sa Social Protection Program, for adolescent mothers and their children. Mr. Chair, Madam Chair, dati meron itong 10 million. Next, 2025, wala na po siya. Wala na itong budget. Ngayon, can you confirm this? Bakit nawala ng budget ng 2025 yung particular section ng social protection program for adolescent mothers and their children?
Madam Chair, this is the program called Protectin sa lengguwahe namin. Unfortunately, it is an amendment that was not reintroduced the last budget season. But we are urging again and pleading with the honorable Congress people to please introduce it as another amendment because it's a program that we think is worthwhile to expand and to grow, especially with the rate of teenage pregnancies in the country.
Kaya hindi ko maintindihan bakit may isa kahapon na nahirapan daw na mag-request sa DSWD X, 'di ba? At napopoliticize. Pero sa pagtulong po, mabilis ang DSWD doon sa pagtulong based on our experience. Okay, so yung unang question ko, Mr. Chair, kasi ang DSWD po yung pinakamaraming COS and JOS. So yan pa rin ang problema ko ngayon. So ano na po ba yung naging development niyan? Kasi for example, sa NCR, out of 2,369, ang JOS ay 1,145. So meron na po bang ginawa, Kasi sa listahan na ibinigay sa atin po ng ating mga union natin sa DSWD, ang dami na nito, merong 8 years, merong 5 years, 6 years, yung length of service nila, 7 years, puro mga contractual and JOS pa yan. Na nakita ko naman yung mga, Mr. Chair, nakita ko naman yung mga position ay essential sa DSWD. So ano na po bang ginawang hakbang doon ng DSWD, Mr. Chair?
Madam Chair, we don't take... We share the same sentiments of Congresswoman Castro. Talagang overdue na marami sa mga contract of service namin, sana kahit contractual lang man lang, mas tutuwa na muna kami sa pansamantala dahil yung contract of service doesn't provide any type of benefit, doesn't provide any type of job security. Kami nga baby steps Kung sa contractual lang muna, that's a small battle that we will win. And we'll keep on fighting till we get them into that permanent status. Madam Chair, as we speak right now, around 43% of our workforce nationally are contract of service. It's a bad number. But I was also tasked by the President to work with DBM to gradually get everybody into the job security area. So as a matter of fact, as pointed out kanina, sa 4Ps lamang po, this year alone, 4,000 of our contract of service have been converted already to contractual. Siyempre, hindi ko kami titigil hanggang maging permanent sila. Pero that's already a small battle that we won, that we want to keep on pushing. Next year, another 4,000, and the following year, another 4,000. We continue to lobby for more funding allocation Kasi siyempre pag naging permanent yan, may statutory benefits na yan. Even nga contractual meron na. Madam Chair, another point that we've been doing is helping our contract of service meet the necessary requirements to be able to get those positions that they are qualified for or aspiring for. We've already worked heavily with the civil service as well as the employees themselves. Madam Chair, if I can just point out the fill-up rate na lang namin para makita ho natin na hindi naman ho dahil yeah. In case of our regulars, yung regular plantilla positions namin, only 8.6 remain unfilled. These are current resignations or these are waiting to be filled up because we cannot find the qualified candidates. Pero rest assured that we are helping them get the necessary requirements in place. We try to work with the civil service in finding legal ways to soften some of the requirements. We assure you, Madam Chair, that yung lahat ng regular position, pipilitin namin mapuno sa mabilis na panahon.
Madam Chairs, alam ko kasi ang civil service parang may nilabas siyang circular as regards to the a filling up of COS and JOS. So ito yung latest, taking into consideration higher points for length of service. So ginagamit po ba natin yon sa DSWD, Madam?
Yes, Madam Chair. We have, kasi nga alam namin na marami na talagang empleyado ang DSWD na due for promotion or due for regularization. Ginagamit na po natin, Madam Chair. Kaya nga ho yung fill-up position namin for plantilla, yung fill-up rate namin for plantilla positions, medyo mataas na po. Current na yung halos yung mga natitirang position and we're trying to look for more ways, tulad ng banggit ko, para mapabilis pa yung pag-promote sa iba.
Thank you po. Ang next question ko, Madam Chair, ay dun sa NCIP. So, familiar po ba kayo dito sa land case or dispute between Antique Development Corporation at saka yung ating mga katutubo dito sa area ng Quezon, Bukidnon po. So, ito po yung ang Antique Development Corporation po ay pinamumunuan ng mga Lorenzo, situated in Barangay San Jose, Quezon, Bukidnon. May parcel of land na 958 hectares covered by FLGMA number 122. So, pamilyar po ba kayo doon?
Madam Chair, if I may respond po to
Go ahead.
the Honorable Representative. Yes po, ma'am. Alam po namin yung kaso na yan dyan sa Bukidnon. Particularly yung problema natin between our IPs and yung Kiantic Corporation po.
Oo.
And marami na po kami nagawang assistance sa ating mga katutubong komunidad na na-displace po sa kanilang ancestral domain dyan po sa area, ma'am.
Nung last April 19, Madam Chair, 2022, may mga katutubo po tayo mula sa Manobo po lang iyon. Mga binaril, sustained gun wounds. So batay sa report nga naging malubha. So according to the report nga yung group ng mga tribal petitioners allegedly forcibly entered private property. Pero ito po ay meron na silang CADT, 'di ba? So dapat ang mga Lorenzo ay aalis na dito kasi tapos na yung napag-usap. Tapos na kumbaga yung kanilang stay dito at maibalik ito doon sa mga katutubo natin. Ang situation dito, Mr. Secretary, Madam Chair, yung mga Manobo, yung mga katutubo ay nandoon na sa gilid nila ng kalsada kasi ayaw silang papasukin doon sa may CADT sila. So, mamumuo dito kasi yung marahas na labanan between yung ating mga katutubo at saka yung mga private army nitong Kiantig Development Corporation. Kasi kung hindi natin ito maaagapan, ay talagang magkakaroon talaga ng problema, So, ayon sa report namin, Mr. Chair, Madam Chair and Mr. Secretary, parang, sorry for the term nila, parang inutil daw ang NCIP dahil sinasabi na mayroon ng CADT, naghatid na sila ng CDO sa KDC, hindi na raw nila kailangang i-install ang IPs dahil sa kanila na ang lupa. Pero, walang assistance na ibinibigay ang NCIP. So ano po ba ang mangyayari dito, Madam Chair? Kasi kung hindi natin matutulungan yung ating mga katutubo na pumunta doon sa kanilang kadti, ay magkakaroon ng problema, marahas na problema.
Madam Chair, if I may respond again. Ma'am, doon po sa sinasabing wala pong assistance na binibigay po ang NCIP, ma'am, gusto po namin iparating po sa inyong opisina na marami pong ginawang intervention at marami pong assistance na ginawa po ang ating Pambansang Komisyon ng Katutubong Pilipino, lalong-lalo na po dyan sa Bukidnon, particularly in Region 10, our regional office, down to our community service centers are always active in assisting our IP communities there, especially our leaders. In fact, marami na po kaming actions taken, and I just would like to also mention that we took steps in also including the Joint Regional Task Force or yung JRTF LCAC ng Region 10, and we focus on really protecting the rights and welfare of our indigenous peoples in the area. Although meron nga po nangyari way back po na pumasok po yung ating mga katutubong komunidad dyan sa area na contested po. We actually requested also our communities there na kung pwede wag po munang sana pumasok dahil po ay armado po yung nasa loob po ng area nila. But again, we assure, Madam Chair, that NCIP is always there to protect them, to always guide them, most especially po dun sa mga gusto po nilang mangyari na hindi po namin sila mabibigyan ng ill advice. At the same time po, mabibigyan po namin sila ng security and being in collaboration and collaborating and coordinating as well with the security sector to address these gaps and to address these issues, Madam Chair.
So, Madam Chair and Mr. Secretary, parang ang nangyayari dito, no, pati ang LGU ay hindi tumutulong doon sa ating mga katutubo, Manobo, Pulangiyon na mga katutubo natin. Kaya sila ay nakatira na nga doon sa gilid at hindi sila makapasok. Kasi sinasabi nyo nga, may mga private army. So ano ba yung pwedeng gawin? Kaya, no, para ma-repossess nung mga katutubo natin, itong rightfully na kanila namang lupain. Ancestral land nila ito. So, yun po yung problema, Mr. Secretary. Baka pwede niyong mapuntahan yan or not the NCI, pero baka bilang under the DSWD. Baka pwede nating matingnan yan, Mr. Secretary.
Madam Chair, we will look into it, even if the NCIP's supervised agency, not an attached agency, will work with the chairman in trying to find legal ways, peaceful ways to assert the claims of our indigenous peoples.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Secretary. So, siguro tanong ko na lang po sa NCIP, no, Madam Chair. So, paano natin matutulungan? Aside from this sa sinasabi niyong pagtulong, ang pinaka-concern nila ay ma-repossess nila yung kanilang ancestral land. So, kung meron kayong pag-uusap sa mga LGU o sa LGU, kasi ngayon, ang binabanggit po ng ating mga katutubo doon, ito mga alam niyo po, Madam Chair, ito mga katutubo na ito, dahil ito ay parang military reserve area before, no? At karamihan naman dito ay mga pamilya ng mga pulis, ang mga ancestor nila doon ay pulis, mga military, etc. Pero katutubo sila. So dapat matulungan natin sila na ma-repossess na po ito bago pa magkaroon ng Kasi nire-red tag na sila, binibilify na itong mga katutubo. Alam niyo naman, kapag lumaban sa karapatan ngayon, di ba? Nire-red tag, binibilify, tine-terrorist tag pag lumaban dun sa karapatan. Kaya, yun na po yung nangyayari. So, sana mabigyan po ito ng i-raise ko rin ito sa DILG para mabigyan din ito ng ng solution. So, magtulong-tulong na ang DSWD, ang NCIP, at ang DILG para po dun sa ating mga katutubo. Ma-repossess nila kasi may kadti sila doon.
Okay, that will be your last question po. Go ahead.
Madam Chair, I'd like to if Undersecretary Ems Aglipay, who's in charge of all attached and supervised agency, be given a chance to respond to it.
Yes, go ahead, Yusek Aglipay. Villar.
Your Honor, we actually made arrangements already to talk to the LGU through the regional office, and they've had several meetings and dialogues through the help din po of the Congressman Mangawang, and there was already progress made in terms of finding an agreement. In fact, they were already resettled, and also the CADT has already been approved because of these dialogues.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, alarming yung issue natin ngayon ng tumataas na bilang ng teenage pregnancy sa bansa. So kailangan po mahalaga na meron talagang plano at programa, particularly ang DSWD dito. Kaya po tinatanong namin ito kasi kailan ilagay natin yung budget na yon, ano? Nabasa ko po yung Protect Teen program, psychosocial support and other interventions for adolescent mothers and their families project. So hindi pala ito napondohan.
Hindi po napondohan. But Madam Chair, the department will always look at the poor, the vulnerable, and the marginalized in a different lens. So kahit wala ho yung pondo, meron ho kaming start-up program ngayon sa province ng Samar. We're working with the local government of Samar, the province of Samar, because they have a very good holistic, non-monetary anti-teenage pregnancy program. We're working with the governor of Samar to try to look into their model and expand it. We're in the final process of signing a memorandum of agreement with them wherein we adopt their program kasi holistic siya, may livelihood siya, may preventive siya, hindi lang siya puro cash component kundi meron siyang services incorporated. Sometimes naman ho, hindi lang ho, mas maganda kung nandun ho yung 10 million, pero kung wala ho, hahanap kami ng ibang mekanismo dahil ang mga teenage mothers ay vulnerable and they fall into our segment that we should be protecting.
Yes, Madam Chair, oo. Kaya natin tinanong kasi importante talaga yun, yung programa yung importante. But that is Samar only. So, kung pinapilot pa lang yan at simula pa lang, mas maganda sana, meron tayo pang buo.
Yes,
na
Madam Chair, and
programa.
we would really urge our policymakers to hopefully reintroduce yung budget allocation for Protect Teen.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I will go on to my next question. Yung next question ko pa, yung tungkol sa solo parents po. Kasi tinanong ko naman to sa DILG, apparently hindi pa rin nabibigay yung 1,000 cash subsidy for the minimum wage earner and below. So, meron kasing power ang DSWD to monitor kung paano ang implementation nito. So, kung nagmo-monitor po kayo, ano na ang nangyari dito sa ating Expanded Solo Parents Welfare Act or RA 11861?
Madam Chair, magandang katanungan kanina, natanong rin ng ating kasama ho, si Congressman Tulfo. Una po, we spearheaded the technical working group with the other departments to get the non-monetary benefits. Kasi di ba nakalagay po sa IRR na kailangan ma-publish, malathala para alam ng ating mga solo parents ang mga benepisyo na manggagaling sa iba't ibang ahensya. Na-publish na po namin yan, at least for the departments that submitted the array of services na non-monetary, mga diskwentro, mga serbisyo. So, na-publish na po namin yan at patuloy kaming dumudulog sa mga iba pang ahensya para mabigyan rin nila kami ng kanilang mga services, makulit namin into a directory of services for easy reference ng ating mga solo parent. Pangalawa po, naatasan rin kami na mag-maintain ng database para monitor natin kailan may database. We're already in the fine details of finalizing the automated database para hindi mano-mano yung pag-update. Kasi through that, we'll be able to monitor the compliance of the local government units, and we are also seeking the help, obviously, of DILG being the regulator of our LGUs.
Yes, Mr. Chair. So, Madam Chair, so ibig sabihin, wala pa itong database. Tapos, yung mga concerns ng mga solo parents natin sa pag-i-issue ng SPIC at booklet, yun pa lang yung tama ba?
Madam Chair, ang meron na atasan sa amin is one, to come up with that expanded directory of benefits. So nagawa na po namin yon. Kung database, ang ginagawa ho namin is to consolidate the various databases of the LGUs. Kasi ang mga database yan manggagaling sa mga LGUs because social welfare is devolved. So they continuously submit to us, but what we're trying to do now is consolidate all of them at sa madaling panahon, matatapos na po namin yon. Ang pangatlo ho is the monitoring mechanism kung yung mga LGUs nagko-comply dahil sa kanila ho manggagaling yung funding allocation. And with that, we've been working with the DILG to make sure na yung compliance na yan mangyari.
Medyo matagal-tagal na rin kasi, no, taon na, Madam Chair. So, kaya tinatanong natin kung matagal na siya at hindi nabibigyan yung ating mga solo parents, medyo itatanong talaga natin to, definitely, no, kung bakit hindi sila nabibigyan nung nandoon sa batas na supposedly ay pinapatupad sa mga LGUs na 1,000 para sa kanila.
Madam Chair, again, as reiterated, we will continue to work with DILG kasi sila yung regulator.
But meron ba tayong listing?
Ng solo parents?
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am, but we're trying to consolidate all of them into
But
an
you gave
automated
them,
format.
Second, kung may listing tayo, may binigyan na ba? Wala ba?
May mga LGUs na nagbibigay na po, especially the more progressive LGUs. Hindi naman ho walang-wala.
So, kino-consolidate pa lang.
Yung listing, but LGUs, progressive LGUs are already implementing it even as we speak. I know a couple of highly urbanized cities na may mga binibigay na ng mga insentibo. So kasi doon ho sa batas nakalagay, the funding is lodged with the LGUs upon fund availability, if I believe. Kasi alam natin, nahihirapan yung mga mas maliliit nating mga 4th class, 5th class, 6th class municipalities. Pero hindi ibig sabihin na tumigil lang tayo sa monetary subsidies. Malaking integral part ng batas yung non-monetary benefits that should be accorded by the different establishments through the different agencies.
Thank you. Wala naman tayong question doon sa non-monetary, no? Kasi kailangan din talaga ibigay yon. But this provision, kailangan din natin i-check at i-monitor, Madam Chair. Now, next, Madam Chair, yung status ng rape crisis centers, no? At Bahay Pag-asa. Kasi, sa RA 8505, yung Rape Victim Assistance Program and Protection Act of 1998, kasama po kayo sa dapat mag-establish ng mga crisis centers sa kada probinsya at lungsod. Ngayon, kamusta na po ang kalagayan nito? Ilan na po ang operational? Ano ang mga kalagayan nila? At yung average ng victims na lumalapit dito? Meron po ba kayong mga data ng ganon?
Madam Chair, again, a big chunk of this, I believe, is devolved to the local government units. Maraming LGU ang may sarili mga Bahay Pag-asa at Bahay Kalinga. For the side of the DSWD, we maintain 14 care facilities na shelters or havens directed towards our victims of rape and women and children who are subject to exploitation, abuse. And to add to that, we've also embarked, working with the academe, to improve the array of services or reintegration programs that we offer in these care facilities.
Is it true? Kasi wala akong nakita doon sa budget allocation nyo for 2025 para sa rollout and maintenance ng rape crisis centers at Bahay Pag-asa facilities. Bakit po ganun? Wala tayong ganong portion.
Madam Chair, let me confer with our team because we believe that the rape centers are run by the LGUs. But we doesn't necessarily mean we don't run our own, but we run our shelters, as mentioned, mga haven. There's 14 of them nationwide, and they're lodged in the Protective Services budget sa CRCF. Kasama po sila doon, embedded po sila doon.
Pero please check kung merong funding kasi kung gusto natin talagang mag-roll out itong mga ito, kahit sa DSWD level, kahit sa pag-monitor ng lahat ng mga rape crisis centers, you have that work, no? Kailangan po natin na pondohan. I mean, Madam Chair, it is only right na yung mga halimbawa yung kanina na tinatanong natin on solo parents, ay yung walang pondo pala, ay yung Social Protection Program for adolescent mothers and their children. Mahalaga po yun na programa na pondohan. Yung etong rape crisis centers na kailangan status nito, mahalaga din pong mapondohan para ma-monitor natin mula sa national, sa DSWD, kung ano na yung kalagayan overall nito. Kasi hindi naman yun naasikasuhin ng LGU. Kasi asikasuhin nila yung sarili nila. Pero yung paano yung pag-monitor nito in the whole? So yun po yung natin.
Madam Chair, confirming with our people from operations, the Rape Crisis Center enshrined in the law, I believe, establishes the rape crisis centers inside hospitals and medical facilities. I think the point of contact is really with the hospitals kasi from my understanding doon nagme-medico legal for these cases. But what we keep are the havens, the making sure that they are kept out of harm's way and making sure that they are properly reintegrated much after. Madam Chair, I have the provision of the law, and I'm sure the good Congresswoman has it also, but I believe that the interpretation with the rape crisis centers are in the medical facilities, not in the DSWD. There is an interagency body that is tasked to monitor the rollout of the programs, but the actual facility is not with DSWD.
Madam Chair, lang natin kasi yun yung mga one-stop programs yung sa ospital, etc. Pero ito kasi particular sa rape crisis centers na meron tayo. Sanctuary to. Ito yung mga lugar kung saan at sinabi nyo naman kanina na meron, 'di ba? So, what happened to that? I was asking. Tapos kung may pondo, kasi gusto nating pondohan yung mga ganong mga programa, 'di ba? Yun yung gusto natin talaga silang bigyan ng para maka-operate sila sang-ayon sa kailangan, 'di ba? So ano pa yung mga kulang, ano pa yung and the DSWD should monitor it.
Madam Chair, we maintain 14 care facilities, particularly shelters and havens for women and children who are victims of rape and other exploitation. Naka-embed ho yung budget sa CRCF, sa protective services po. Nandun po siya, and we believe it's substantial to keep the centers operating at optimum capacity and at the standards that we prescribe. But if it's expanding it to make sure na marami ho tayo niyan, then unfortunately we were not given infrastructure or capital expenditure budgets. For the record, there's a lot of LGUs who have given and donated land to us, and we would be more than happy to establish more of these centers and havens. But we asked for budgets for infrastructure, but unfortunately we were never given that budget allocation to expand.
Madam Chair, meron kayong
that's your last question, and then if you want to go for a second round, we can list you for the second round.
Madam Chair, siguro last na lang, i-wrap up ko lang ito, Madam Chair. Kasi itong Rape Crisis Center, lead agency kasi ang DSWD dito, sang-ayon sa RA 10630. So kung establishment, etc., magkano yung hinihingi? Parang kung kinakailangan natin yon, Madam Chair, at importante sa atin yun, Madam Chair, then I will be asking yung DSWD na ibigay sa atin yung necessary nilang proposal para dyan. Kasi hindi mag-work yung embedded na siya sa ibang program, Madam Chair. So, to be sure, ano ba exactly yung for the operation and establishment of those
Madam Chair, we'll go ahead and submit to the committee the breakdown of operations of care facilities and the expansion plan for these care facilities.
Thank you, Madam Chair, kasi kailangan po natin yan para sa funding. Lastly, Madam Chair,
Sige, pagbigyan.
Oo, Madam Chair, kasi kung si Sec ay kapitbahay ni Congresswoman Franz Castro, ako kapitbahay ko si Yusek Edu Punay. Pinapaalala ko lang po, pareho po tayong nabaha sa bahay. Hindi naasikaso na natin ang lahat sa iba ng pagre-relief. Yung bahay, yung lugar po natin so, banda doon sa sa Tandang Sora ay hindi pa natin nabibigyan ng relief. At kasalanan po nating dalawa 'yon kasi inaasikaso natin yung national. Tayong dalawa na binaha, hindi pa po natin nabibigyan yung mga kapitbahay natin. So, yun lang, no? Yun lang, Madam Chair. Yan ang kapitbahay ko, eh.
Okay, thank you. Yeah.
Sir, just for the record again, we've released close to 1.5 million family food packs nationwide. And if there are more